Alright, up next we're going to look at the Star Nebula Corsairs. Got the starter box, another Durand alternate sculpt, Moffat and Kenobo, the blowhards, Squall and Iron Chef, Dark Space, Wild Space Gabe, Calico Kate and Scully, the Corsairs, and the Broadsides. Alright, we're going to bust open the starter box here and take a look inside. Again, we see we got the faction tokens, play deck, your quick start rules, your cards for your units, and your faction colored playmat. First off, we have the questing knight and his Esper.
Harker and Caesar.
Which one's what?
Harker is here, and Caesar is his parrot.
Yes. A lot of great looking detail on the parrot's wings.
Yeah, and Harker was actually a single cast piece, so there's no assembly required on him, just a little straightening out with some hot water.
Okay. Up next we have the
Corsairs. There's 3 different models.
Some repeat sculpts here on this one. Looks like a female.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're looking at these, we're not seeing a lot of flash or mold lines. So cleanup is going to be pretty easy on this.
Yeah, these ones actually, what we call the minions, are the dirtiest of the models I've found, just because they were the most production, it looks like. And still, cleanup is very simplistic.
And then we have the bag of little fiddly bits for the rest of them. And next we have the big
Broadside.
big skull can. Nice, big, heavy piece of plastic here.
This one I've assembled for the most part and cleaned up. And then this section here, and its jaw was separate.
We got little armor bits that go on the side there, and then we have the gunner here, and then the spotter.
Both great models. His foot, his arms, and his head were separate. Both his arms and his head were separate.
Very clean looking.
Highly detailed on those guys. And we also have the mystery peg.
Yep, it's got a few parts spare parts. It's just like when rebuilding your car. You always have spare parts. Alright, let's take a look at our
Calico Kate.
our Relic Knight.
This one I've already assembled for the most part and started applying paint. I went with her alternate pose instead of the classic with her hanging over the front of her relic, where she's actually standing in the hand of her relic. There's Calico, highly detailed. There's her standard pose as well. I felt like putting that together.
Let's take a look at the difference between the two. The rider and the walker. Let's take a look at the relic itself.
That comes with 2 different sets of arms as well. One is holding the bomb and saber, and the other one is just ready to hold Calico.
Very pirate-esque.
I can actually show you what she looks like with the pose.
And looks like the paint holds pretty well to this.
It does. A little bit of washing always helps, but besides that, it was a very clean, easy to base coat with my airbrush and some Vallejo.
And we see the other arms with the sword. And then there's Scully, her little
Esper.
And you see one of the bases that came with the Kickstarter. Alright. Let's see. Wild Space Gabe. He's another questing knight with the little, tiny little Esper.
His Esper, his little hair tuft was separate. And on Gabe himself, his arms, his head, the treasure chest, and both feet were separate.
Cool looking little Esper. And this was the one that was inspired by
Penny Arcade.
Penny Arcade.
Yep.
Cool looking pose. Nice flowy cape. That'll be really interesting to see painted up. Alright, up next we have the Boulevards.
Really not much going on with these two. She came as a single piece with the exception of her cutlass. And with him, it was his arms and his cutlass on the back. And then I got this little mystery piece.
Could be Flash, could be Pony. Oh, yeah.
Who knows?
Know. If you know, put it in the comments down below. Alright. Up next we have Squall and Iron Chief. Nice looking figure here. If you watched the Black Diamond video, you'll have seen the alternate sculpt of him. This is the original sculpt. Nice little tidbits here and there on this guy. Cool looking frying pan. 4 arms. Better than 2. And then we have Squall. She's got a nice looking staff there. And a very beautiful looking miniature itself. You're gonna have to get some foam for this one.
Yeah. Very delicate on that staff. Very delicate.
Alright. Up next we have Moffat and Kenobo.
Moffat herself came as a single piece except for her head.
A lot of nice looking details on this one.
Oh yeah.
Not very many mold lines or
It was actually
flash.
The flash was located all around the hem of her skirt. On all the models I've assembled, they've been very wise for the most part in their decisions on where they put the molds together at and try to bury them as best they could.
Alright, next we have Kenobo and his little rope.
Yeah, he was another simplistic build along with everything else. His head was in 2 pieces, his 2 arms were broken at the elbows, and his raised foot was separate as well, along with... That was it. Everything else was a single piece.
It's a pretty cool looking guy. Alright, lastly we got another Isabel Durand. What I've noticed a lot with going through these unboxings, the cards look just as good as the miniatures.
Alright, she came in several pieces. Her arms that are holding the weapon were a single piece that had to be bent to go into the sockets, and her raised foot was separate as well.
Cute looking sculpt.
And then
Well rounded.
And then her hair is rather free flowing.
That'd be pretty interesting to paint up.
That's it.
Alright, we'll move on to the next unboxing.